Hello there, Stephanie Hammond, Head Sales and Marketing Nerd at Enable. Today I wanted to share some insight around how to price. And since launching our newest solution, Enable MDR, Enable Managed Detection Response, the pricing question has become almost a daily occurrence. Getting questions like, we're interested in Enable MDR, but we're not quite comfortable yet on the retail costing model, and so it's holding us back from going to market. Or questions like, do you have any material around how to go to market and how do you price and package MDR? Or, my customer is interested in MDR, but I'm not sure what I should be charging for it. So given the excitement and the quick adoption of Enable MDR that MSPs are having, I thought it might be helpful to take a moment or two to address the pricing inquiries that I am regularly receiving. And although I'll be referencing Enable MDR, the guidance being provided here can be applied really to anything that an MSP might be trying to sell. Because when it comes to figuring out the pricing of really any product that an MSP wants to take to market, not just MDR specifically, the first question I always ask is, who are you selling to? Because depending on the type of organization that you're selling to, that is what is going to help determine what you should be charging for that. And when looking at the MSP space, there's really two distinct customer types that MSPs could be selling to. So we have the traditional managed services customer, and I'm defining this as that organization where there's no dedicated internal IT administrator in-house. So your MSP is the one that's acting as their outsourced IT department. And therefore you are assuming 100% responsibility for the care, maintenance, protection of the network. Or we have the co-managed IT services customer. And this is really defined as the organization where there is an internal IT administrator or an IT department in existence within the organization. And so it's that person or that department who is then ultimately responsible for the care, protection, and maintenance of the organization's network, not the MSP. So in a co-managed IT services model, the MSP is the one that, you're just stepping in, you're offering to help out, you're trying to fill a void by taking over the management of maybe one or two key functions or specific components. But you are not in charge of and you're not taking over the entire network environment. And so this is a really important distinction to make, because depending on whether there is an internal IT administrator or not, that is really what's going to determine what you ultimately sell them and consequently, what you are going to charge them. So if we look at, pricing for the traditional managed services customer, with this type of customer, you're not going to price and sell MDR or EDR or backup or any other product as an individual service all on its own, but rather you're going to include MDR as part of your top tier advanced security program that would be targeted at any medium to high risk organization. So what would constitute a medium or high risk organization? Well, basically it's any organization that resides in a regulated industry that has compliance standards that it does need to adhere to. So if the customer that you're speaking with is required to demonstrate and prove compliance, then the advanced security program, that's the package that you should be positioning to them. And I generally see that program level starting around $200 US per user per month. I've seen it $250, $275, kind of that range there. But I've also seen it offered as high as $350 or $400 US per user per month by some MSPs in some market. Now, when designing the advanced security program that's aimed at the traditional managed services customer type, this is going to include a wide range of tool sets, labor, services, beyond just the MDR product. MDR or EDR or backup, none of those products should be sold in a silo when it comes to the traditional managed services customer type. They should be bundled together and sold as part of an overall package of security services because you are accepting the responsibility and the risk that comes from managing and protecting that organization's network environment. And if you are accepting that risk, then you need to implement a layered approach with respect to their security, because no singular product is going to be able to provide 100% guaranteed protection coverage from cyber attacks. So in the case of MDR, it's really kind of that final wrapper that gets added into an advanced security program level to provide that deeper visibility, heightened threat hunting and detection services, in order to provide faster mean time to incident detection, thereby providing faster mean time to response, and therefore faster mean time to remediation for those organizations that can't tolerate any sort of downtime at all, and where the breach impact needs to be minimized as much as possible. But pricing is looked at a little bit differently when we look at the co-managed IT services client. In this type of scenario, it is absolutely appropriate to sell your services in an a la carte type of format. MDR could be sold separately because in the co-managed model, you're just helping out, by augmenting the in-house IT team by providing a service that your MSP is going to manage. So the internal IT team can then focus on other things. So in the case of the co-managed model, your MSP is not in charge of the organization's overall network like you would be for the traditional managed services customer. That's ultimately the responsibility of the internal IT director. So if we're looking at MDR specifically and what to charge for MDR in this instance, for the co-managed IT services client, I see MSPs charging minimum $90 per user per month. And this generally would include both EDR on the endpoint, so endpoint detection and response, and MDR as kind of that wrapper service to protect the rest of the network. And then from a marketing perspective, if you're going to spend your time creating marketing and sales campaigns that are targeted at the traditional managed services customer, and it's just focused on selling MDR or selling EDR or selling backup, on their own in a non-bundled way, then you're wasting the sales opportunity, I think. Ideally, if you're going to go through all of that effort and expense of putting together individual campaigns, why not put that time and energy into selling a bundled set of services, like your advanced security program that provides higher value, improved security coverage, and improved cyber resiliency and recovery for when something does happen? So again, understanding who you're selling to is critical, because that is what prevents it from becoming a technical sale where you're just reselling a tool set, which offers really only minimum levels of profitability, versus turning this into a value-based sales motion where you can charge higher prices for your complete package of services. Because if you're going to engage with a traditional managed services prospect anyway, then you don't want to waste that sales conversation, right? Leverage the opportunity to speak to your customer about your advanced security program and not just singular products, and then benefit from higher contract values, improved MRR, while also working towards reducing your own risk and mitigating your risk as their MSP.